Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela from Tulipart Designs and you are welcome or welcome back to my creative channel here where I'm showing you watercolor sketching ideas, tips and tricks, how to get creative in your free time, how to do something that will bring you joy and it will be definitely stress-free. Today we are doing the 31 Yes, the 31st sketch out of 100 watercolor sketches, and we are making some ginkgo leaves. I am very happy with these ones. I will show you a reverse watercolor technique and I will show you how to practice wet in wet so you will enjoy it even more. Let's get started. Before we start, let me walk you through the supplies in case you are new here. I have a watercolor sketchbook and I really like the cold press watercolor paper because it really has a nice texture. Some watercolor paints. I'm using my Mary Blue. Any watercolor will help you complete this project. Then I have watercolor brushes. I have round brush, two different sizes, 10 and 4. 8 or 6 will be also fine. Then I have a drawing pen. It is a water resistant which means that when you add watercolor on top of it, it will not bleed. And then jelly roll pen to add some highlights in the end in case I want to do that. I have a towel, kitchen paper towel will be also fine. Then water, some clips. I usually like to use them to keep my sketchbook flat, fixed, so it doesn't move. Okay, and then I have a heat gun in case I want to speed up the process, which happens almost all the time when I am filming my tutorials. I think that's it. I have a simple just eraser to clean up my pencil sketch. If you need the outlines, the sketch, so you can start quite easily, then you can find it on my Patreon. I will link it below. You can find all the outlines for all the projects. Like, let me just make sure. So this is from the last time when we sketched my favorite watercolor supplies. These ones and these. So I have outlines for all the illustrations that we are doing, and you can find them on my Patreon. So if you need this, make sure to check it out. This is one of my favorite. Some flowers, lemons, landscapes. This challenge is definitely quite interesting for me, so I hope that you are enjoying it as well. Now for our leaves, I want to do the reverse watercoloring today. So what this means is that we will start with some watercoloring first and then we will draw some lines. I will use my watercolor brush size 10 for the watercolor part. Just before that, I really want to lighten this pencil sketch a lot. You don't really need the outlines, but it's always nice to make sure that what you want to sketch will fit on the page. So for me, I find the pencil sketch quite an important step for my process. So let me just make it lighter, because when we add watercolor on top of it, we can't erase it anymore. Then let's just not try to match the real color of the leaves. We know there are yellows and greens, but we can just use whatever colors we like, okay? So I think I will just start with some yellow. And what I do, I am reactivating. Let me just move all the things inside here so you can see. So I am adding water to reactivate my colors. Okay. And then what I really like to do is I will grab some water and just add water for the leaves. I'm following my outlines. And what I can control here is that the paint will go where I have water. So I know that if I have water here for the leaf, my paint will go just there. And then I start dropping in some of that paint and I let it bleed. Okay, and I will not focus too much on the shape, especially if we are, we don't have lots of time and we really need a quick exercise in our sketchbooks. Then this exercise is very good because we can definitely practice some wet in wet techniques. We can practice how to hold our brush. We can practice what will happen depending on how much water we have. Sorry, I'm also checking the screen. So we can also see how our paints react on the water if we have less water or more. It's a very nice exercise. So we can see that here where I have lots of water, the paint just doesn't move so much. So it's quite a nice exercise to practice wet in wet for sure. So you can see where I'm adding water. And then maybe some red. Just try to enjoy how this watercolor moves around. It's so magical for me because what you can control, you really focus on that, and then the rest you just enjoy it. So how this paint moves, and if you want to make it darker, just grab more concentrated paint and drag it in, or yeah, drop it in inside. I'm just tapping with the tip of my brush, and I usually add paint just around the edges. You can also mix colors on the paper, which means you can get some paint and just tap it here and leave it to bleed, because it's wet in wet. They will bleed in each other and do some nice effects. Then let's make the next one. So I'm adding water. You can see that most of the times I am going with the Bailey. So I'm putting a little bit more pressure to my brush. So my brush stroke is thicker, so I can add water to a bigger area. And when I want to do a thinner line, I just use the tip of my brush. Okay, let's grab some light red or oranges. Just use the colors you really like the most. I really like these kind of exercises, so I can try all my paints to see how they react with the water, because you can see that some of them bleeds more and some of them bleeds less. The whole point is just to practice and get to know our supplies, and in the end it's all about having some fun, right? So I go like this, shaking my brush to make a nice border. We don't want to have perfectly straight borders because leaves don't have perfectly straight borders, right? And you could see that if you have a puddle on the paper, the paint just stays in. So you can move around, dry your brush on the towel, on the paper towel if you have, and then leave the paper evenly wet. This will definitely make the paint bleeds easier. We can make lines like this. Or we can make dots. Just try both. So if you look from the side, you should see a very nice shiny surface. And if you see some puddles, you can dry your brush and pick up this extra water. Okay. Let's grab some of this rose color here that I have. This one bleeds a lot and it's one of my favorites. So I'm going just around the edges. And then we can add some lines coming from the edge of the leaf to the stem, all right? Let's make one more. Maybe we can do this one using two colors so we can see what will happen on the page. And it's all about experimenting and trying and just have fun. Don't try to make it perfect because yeah, there's nothing perfect. What can be perfect is just the whole process. Okay, I think I have a little bit more water than I want, so I dry my brush on the paper towel and pick up some of the paint. Then let's grab a little bit. Oh, oops, now I have paint everywhere. That's okay. Then let's drop in some of the pink here in half of the leaf. And for the other part, let's take some of the yellow and let's see what will happen. The yellow bleeds less. We can see this. Let's make some lines just like this and leave it there. Let's not try to do anything. We will leave it like this so we can see how it will dry. And then our last one. Let's take a little bit of yellow ochre, added it here around the edges. So these are quite loose. We just add water and yeah, wet in wet is definitely my favorite. So it's always nice to see what happens. You can definitely reshape your leaf using the tip of your brush in case you want this. Okay, let's dry this and then we can draw on top of it. Okay, now that this is dry, I will put my watercolors on the side. We will grab, let me make sure that you see well. We can grab our pen. I have 02. And we can start outlining the leaves, and then we can add some details. I really like the sketchy style, so I'm shaking my pen. I try to follow the outlines, but also if I feel like adding an extra piece, I just do it, okay? And then we can just add some details. And basically where you see the small waves, you make like the line continues to the stem. Does this make sense? Just like this. And then we can go around, add an extra line if we want to. This will always bring a little bit of deepness to our sketch. And yeah, that's all. Let's do the same for all of them. And with the first line, I usually go a bit lighter. I am shaking my pen. I sometimes take it off the page. I can go back, add some thickness again. And then we can add some detail lines. Just like this. Maybe here. And I try to have different distances between them so it looks more natural. For example, you can see here that I was not following the watercolor completely, but it's still fine. We are just drawing. We can try to focus on our breathing. We can just turn off all the around world and, you know, just enjoy ourselves. So let's just finish the rest and we'll see the result. Okay, now I am ready with the ink lines. What I wanted to do is just a few shadows. So I will make the effect that these leaves are kind of laying on a surface. So I need a very, very transparent grayish color. I have Payne's gray here, and this is what I'm gonna use. So I pick some color. Let me just make sure that you are seeing what I am mixing here. And then I don't want to have dripping paint from my brush, and I just want to go here. I will do on the same side, so all the bottom parts, and I will add, okay, a little bit too much paint. I will add a little bit of gray on the bottom part of these leaves. And then here, and I just go parallel to the ink lines, okay? Maybe here, and then on the bottom part of that stem. That's it. Let's just finish the last one. Okay, that's all about it. I hope you can definitely see my shadows. They are very light. I just wanted to make them quite light gray. And the last thing I usually like to do is to add a little bit of highlights. For this, I'm using a Jelly Roll pen. I just don't want to mess my shadow or my shadows. So I will go in and I will add a few white lines where I have the darkest parts of my watercolor, and I will add it just next to my ink lines, okay? And I will make sure that the lines I am adding, they have different lengths, so it's more playful. And here maybe on the bottom. And then here. We don't want to redraw the whole thing. I just want to make it more alive. Can a sketch be alive? Yeah, why not? Okay. And maybe also here on this side. Let's add a few lines for the leaves here. Sometimes it can go all the way through the stem as well, and sometimes just a little bit here on the top. These are highlights, so they can be just a few dots or lines or whatever. Just try out. This is our sketchbook, so we don't have to make it perfect, okay? Try to follow the ink lines, try to follow the watercolor. So where you have the darkest watercolor and just next to the ink lines. And that's it. I think we are ready. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. I hope to see you in the next video. If you need the outlines, there on my Patreon, so make sure to check it out because there are exclusive classes there almost every week and tons of other content. Consider subscribing to my channel so you will not miss any of the other videos, and I will see you next time. Bye!